Hey guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. This one is being recorded on Thursday and released on Friday for you guys, and it is an AFLW fantasy team update video, team reveal 2.0. As I know, my last team reveal was a good solid couple of weeks ago, just looking at it earlier today as well, and just seeing that there was so much changes. If you were to go just video by video of the team reveals now, you wouldn't see all the major changes that I've had in terms of flip-flopping back and forth, etc., and changing structure. But now you would know, if you had been following day by day on the channel, you'd see that. But I thought I'd just do a wider update, So let's jump into it, and you'll hear my thoughts around each player and the strategy to a certain degree. Thomas, I think, is just that bankable top tier talent. I think she's probably going to end up the 5th highest scoring defender. If we just look at the defenders here and go through it, she was 3rd or so, and we know that Goodwin's a fair chance of being a midfielder, so I expect her to probably outscore Thomas, and then I expect maybe someone else like an Ellinger or something, potentially someone else probably will, so that'll mean she probably ends up D5 or so in the end. But we currently have her D1 just because I think she's one that holds price. And I think Lucas, Rod, and Gay are a good chance of potentially dipping down into the high 70s, and we can grab them up as value picks later on in the year as Gorham, Pound, and others close that gap. And that's the theory behind that backline. It's staying out of the Bacons. Well, I shouldn't say Bacon, she's on the bench, but staying out of those type of picks because on field, because I feel like they're going to burn points and they're bound to fail, and it would limit other strategies, etc. But also just in the case that I really want to have flexibility, and if one of them does pop off, like if Bacon is outscoring Gorham or something like that, and there's another rookie that pops off, then I can trade Gorham to someone, to that said rookie, and upgrade, say, a failing Pound or someone like that straight to a Madison Gay or a Lucas Rod, etc., and use that strategy. But yeah, that's sort of my thoughts around that. Watson, I was going to put McAvoy, and this one is a massive space where I can basically go to anyone here. Let's just look at this realistically speaking. I can't get to the 2 top ones here, but I'm not looking at doing that. I could get to Randall, but I think she slows down a little bit and doesn't average that sort of 65. Serene Watson, sort of the safe net, I guess, pick, 24% owned. Then you have Lucy McAvoy, one that I'm definitely high on. Compared to most, even though she potentially has the ability, well, she has the ability to move around in the team sheets, I guess, and positioning across all 3 lines, which could really hinder her. But yeah, I think she's a one at 7.5% currently owned, that could really be damaging, I feel like, and really push that sort of 70 marker. And Ellinger's probably the last one realistically that I see really hitting that sort of top 5 or so, that I can't really see at the moment. No one else really going near that. And yeah, Ellinger could be that one that just goes off. But yeah, she'll be a wait and watch just to see her role, because I don't really want to pick a winger per se, if I remember correctly from her position last year. Let me just double check that for you guys, because if I remember correctly, she was a winger last year. And yeah, we don't like wingers per se, but she might have been, because she's got defensive status, she might have been playing off half back, but we'll just have to wait and see. 17% to CBAs, 2 kick-ins for 66, her highest of her career. And you can see when she actually, if she does get that CBA role, if she's rolling out in CBAs, I am happy to pick her over anyone else, because she's a tackling beast, and I feel like she would be able to generate the scores there. She did it in finals, so I think that's what everyone's really looking at, is that she tends to score really consistently well when she's in and around the CBAs, as you can see there. And she has a really good tackle base as well. So yeah, she's had up and down games, but if she is in and around the CBA, she's one that I want to really consider strongly. Let's just put the likes of Watson back, because Watson could go to the next level. We don't know necessarily about how how much more the St Kilda girls can sort of kick it round the back. That was something that Watson definitely did take advantage of, but she did average 75 in her last 3, and I think her lowest game was one of her early games. If we just go to Watson here, I want to say it was one of the first couple games of the year. If we go to Serene Watson and check this out, 67 for the year, and her first game of the year was a 37 and then a 45. And then she just decided, you know what, I'm just going to take a lot of marks per game, and ended up taking 3.8 marks per game after only 4 in the first 2 games of the year. So in the latter half of the year, she took something like 38 in the last 9, which is almost 4.2 a game, 4.3 a game. She also just stepped up in her getting a lot more of the footy. So she's definitely one that has some upside if you think about it. 82 points off of that in 11 games. So if we take 67.6 times by 11, that gets 744. 744 minus, what did we say, 37 and 45 is 82, and then divide that by 9, and she averages 73.55 if you remove those 2 starter games where I don't know what went wrong on them, but she just couldn't grab the footy as much. And in that, that's already a +6, and that's already the upside that you need for her to be from a D7, D67 overall last year or so, give or take. That goes up to around about the D4 area, if we just think about it in terms of the defenders. Yeah, a D3, D4 area ahead of Thomas. So those 2 are sort of my bankable ones where I'm like, I'm pretty confident you're going to be a top 7, and that's what we're hunting for, top 7. And these 2 are sort of my bankable ones. Then we get to Goodwin, who we expect a role change potentially into the midfield, and that for that reason is why I'm picking her, because that role change we've seen with Sheeran, what happened with her. If we go to Sheeran, we'll show you what happened when she went on ball. If we just quickly look at this for you guys, you can see she went from a 71 dominating to an 80, and that 80 I think might have even had an injury in there or just low tog. Here we go. She had a 51% tog game, which I think might have been injured in or something against Carlton. And then she had other games as well where she had 63% tog, which, yeah, she might have been battling something in these 3 games. But you can see when she had really high CBAs in the 70s and 80s, she went, high 60s, 70s and 80s. Pretty much, she correlated to scoring really well, and that's what I'm looking at for the likes of a Goodwin. If we can get her Goodwin into the 70s, she will almost replace what Sheeran was last year. Then we get Pound. This is basically me just taking a flyer on someone in that 600k range alongside Gorham, because Gorham's stats, she basically is about a 63 or a 64 when she takes kick-ins or something like that, and to get +15 on someone like that could be crazy money there. And then Pound as well, she's done 62 in the past. If we get +12 on her there, that's another sort of 180 or so thousand in cash generation that those 2 could make. So yeah, we'll see. And Pound also has the ability with potentially getting kick-ins. We don't know exactly. If she can get domination of the kick-in stats, then that's another 2 or so kicks per game that she could get. Carlton aren't looking to be the best, so that could really help her potentially push into sort of that Serene Watson 66 or so range, because if she does that, then that, as you look here, is about 200k cash generation. So that's what I'm really looking for out of the back line. It's like, I got my 2 bankable ones. I got Goodwin, who I'm pretty confident on, and I think most people will go for. And then I got 2 ones here in Pound and Gorham. Let's hope one of them sticks, because if one of them sticks and gets near enough that 70 average, then we're good. And if one of them doesn't, then we just move them to Gay or to a Lucas Rod, etc., and maneuver there. But that's really what I'm looking at, is just being like, can I almost shield myself from the potential of a 30 or a 40 score, potentially less, out of Gorham, Pound, etc., and and really get those sort of 60 scores from them, so that it doesn't mean that I need like that big Gay or Lucas Rod's game consistently. Because if you think about them, that's about 1290 between 1.29 million between Pound and Gorham. That is almost a Gay or a Lucas Rod and a rookie at a little bit of cash there. So that's what I'm really looking at. Is like, I believe Pound and Gorham have more value than the likes of the top liner in the defender line alongside a rookie. And then you get the likes of Marinoff, Robot, and Bowers, I think is a very, very awfully common midfield. Chris Bark is probably the one that most people will end up with, I'd hazard a guess, if we just go to selections. A lot of people are going the Garner route, but I think that is because they're going a little bit, not everyone obviously is going to have Rowbottom, etc. A lot of people do have Bowers. Newman, I don't know what this pick is, sort of the reasoning behind this pick, to be honest with you. So that's why I'm staying clear. And then you got Prasparkas at 18%, and then a couple of other sort of, you can see everyone hunting in and around either there's no one really in that 600k range also, other than Jasmine Smith for some people, I think it is. Yeah, Jasmine Smith, that everyone is really looking at. It's basically Centra, Fish, and that's it. And then looking at that sort of 900 to 1 million, 1.1 for that M4, and then these three as your top three, unless you're really spending up and going for the likes of the Riddells or the Garners and getting those real top line girls, whereas I would rather trade into them through here, as you'll see. And then, yeah, so these three are so common. Prasparkas looked really good in the midfield in the practice game. We'll see how that goes in the next game that they have over the weekend. And then Centra is probably the most chosen on-field rookie. And then you've got Zippy Fish, who looks really good as well. So those two are very common. And then we get to the ruck line, where a lot of chaos will probably happen. It's probably the position that I'm most, I guess, just don't know which 400, 500k rookie that I'm going to go for, because, yeah, there's a lot in and around the market. A lot of people will have Strom. I do think Strom loses a couple of points per game. If we just look at Strom from her last couple of years and really look what's gone up, you can see basically 10 or 11 hitouts per game. But one thing that really rose was the 1.3 tackles per game on only an extra 9% ruck contest. So I don't know if I really think that could go down a little bit with Bowers coming and Stanek coming back into the midfield. So that's why I think Strom is still going to be the lead ruckman, but I think she's going to drop. I think I've said that pretty consistently over the last week or so and throughout the preseason. So that's why I'm waiting. She will probably end up being the lead ruck, and that we all need. But if we can get her, she's currently priced at 1.456 million, and we use the magic number for her. But if we go, she's going to average a flat 100. She's going to be priced at roughly 200k cheaper. 200k cheaper for her. That's an absolute steal. Like, to get her 200k cheaper. And that's what I really think, because I think McGrath could outdo her price. Currently priced at around 500k, which is around that 37, 38. If McGrath goes 55, then she's suddenly 55 times the 12.471, the magic number. She gets to 685. We see the clawing back of Mim Strom from a 1.456 to 1.256. That's 200k one way and 185k the other way. That's 385k gained effectively in cash generation, if you think of it that way. And that's what I genuinely think is going to happen. So it isn't the worst to start Strom, but I do think that there is going to be a slight drop off in Strom, and it's picking her up at the right time when she starts to really regulate in her price scoring. Because if we look at Freo, they have Port Adelaide to start. I don't think she's going to do too well against the likes of Scholes, who I wish we had better stats for the women's in terms of their ruck stats. But we can actually look at Strom. I think she's in here. What did she go against the likes of Port Adelaide earlier this year? She went 130. Was that against Strom? Was that against Schultz? That'll be exclusively Schultz. That'll be interesting to see who it was against. You had Schultz go 24 hitouts and Strom go 33 hitouts, and she had 9 tackles, which I don't think will really happen, to be honest with you. So that's interesting that she actually did her best against Port Adelaide. And then against Sydney, I don't know if this was against the likes of Ali Moffat, but I think she has an Ali Moffat game coming up relatively soon in her cycle. If we look at it, she's got Brisbane and then she's got North. Okay, so if we go here and look at her against Brisbane last year, don't know if she played them from the looks of it. Doesn't look like she did. So that's a little bit annoying. But if we look at the past, she has done 3 games for a 42 with a max of 52. And those were in round season 7 where she went 35 on 49% CBA. So she's a better product. But again, I don't know. I think she'll struggle there. And then I also think she will struggle, as I said, against Sydney, where she's had 2 games for 68.5. And I believe they were both against Moffat when she was actually fit and healthy. If we go here and look at it here, Bella Smith and Hamilton, and she only went 75. Wow. That's very, very telling. I obviously don't think that's going to happen again. But if we go against Sydney, where this should be Ali Moffat, you would expect, but I'm not 100% sure. Yep, Ali Moffat and Alexia Hamilton. She went only the, if we go here, she went only the 62. And she did have Roxanne Rowe, which will cap her score. It's been shown to cap her score. But she might have only gone 70 there, an average somewhere in and around the 70 marker against Sydney. So interesting. I think she does have that Port Adelaide game where we've shown here that Port Adelaide, she's played them once and had a really good game, but it was on the back of 36 points from tackling. I don't know, and Port Adelaide as well could be interesting in the ruck. But yeah, I don't think that will happen again, just because I think tackling is probably going to drop for her. So if she's got North Melbourne as well, if we just look at this, and I'm spending a lot of time on someone that I don't have, she's got an 84 against them, and that's been... let's just see again if this will load properly. You can see season 8, 6, 6, and 5, and you can see she had relatively good ruck time, and she goes about 80. So she's probably going to go. She's probably going to go 95 or 100 in the first 4 weeks. There will be some really high games, but there will be some really sort of mediocre games. And I just have a feeling that after 4 games, she might have 390 points. She might be leading the ruck. But you'll have McGrath potentially, who has potentially a chance to play against Havana Harris in the ruck, which should be good for McGrath. She might have 300 points in her first 4 games, and she's only 90 points behind, but she was 700k cheaper. Also, 950k cheaper for like 70 points. That's the big difference I could see with Mimstrom compared to McGrath, and that's the whole reasoning why I'm going McGrath or someone of that ilk, because there's just that gap there being created. If we look at West Coast scheduled early on, they've got Gold Coast, who might not be with a ruckman. Then they've got ruck. And then they've got Essendon, who has Murphy, I believe, or Dyke, who doesn't really score. So that'll be good for McGrath if she can hold her spot. And then they've got St Kilda with Karras, I should say, who isn't the best scoring ruck there. And then they've got Port Adelaide before they hit the Fremantle game. So I'd probably honestly be looking at swapping her in round 5 or so after 4 rounds. But after 4 rounds, can that gap go from 950k down to like 600k or so, 500k? Because that's where the real upgrade could happen, I feel like, there. But I just want to double check the Fremantle fixture after that. After round 5, she has Eagles, Essendon, Carlton, Hawks, Melbourne, GWS, Richmond, and then Adelaide. That's a really good run post that round 4 game against Moffat, it feels like, from what I can see on the surface. So that's really a plan that I really want to consider. And that's where I really need the likes of a Fisher as Centro to go bang early and really get some cash up. Maybe it involves a Gorham or someone maneuvering there down to a rookie or something of that regard. Maybe like a window or something down to a rookie and playing a rookie instead. But that could be the real valuable play, getting on Strom at the right point of the year. And then Dunlop is the rookie that we haven't hit alongside Harris in the utility. All 3 rucks, and that's just flexibility based. That's a big question. Flexibility this, flexibility that. You want to be able to maneuver around and not be set on your preseason thoughts. because you are bound to have incorrect preseason thoughts, in my opinion. Stanit, F1 at the moment, alongside Carruthers in there. I think Stanit just gets back to her best. And if we look at the forward line for the points, average points, you'll see that all that you really need out of the forward line is about 70 to be quality. Like we've seen, even the likes of Randall, I think, was a forward last year, averaged 69. So yeah, I think 70 is what you need. And can the likes of Stanit trust over the 70, sort of bounce over that 70 marker? I'm pretty sure she can do it if we look at Stanit as well, and look at her. And you can see this is what I'm really looking at and going, I don't know if the likes of Strom can hold up the tackling, because there's probably going to be around about, if we look at who's going to be one that East is probably going to be the one that moves out of the midfield, I think. East averaged 5.6 tackles per game last year. So that's probably going to have a couple tackles per game to stand it over the likes of others. And then you got Bowers, who's a massive tackler who will take a lot out of Strom. But Stanit, she's done it in the past. If she can do 73 again, we are absolutely golden. So, and we've seen also in the past here, if we actually look at Stanit's, her scoring as well, it's consistent all round, but when you get the numbers that she got in the midfield, she actually dipped a little bit because it took her a couple games to get into the midfield flow. But when she got into it, she did really well. 68, 54, 72, 92, 77, 70. That is 147. 147 plus 92 plus 72 plus 54 plus 68 is 433 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. That already is an average of 72, and then you can add her slight CBA 77, and then you're going to get around that 73 marker, which, as I said, is right on her season average for the year, but it's right on what we need from her to be a top line forward. So that's what we want. Carruthers, if she can fix up her free kick problem that she had, like, let's just look at it for you guys. Carruthers here, she'll be perfect. Like, there's no questioning that. 6.3 tackles per game last year. As you can see, 2.3 free kicks. She takes away one of those. She goes up another 3 points per game, potentially. If she regulates that back to what her normal numbers were, she's going to go back up to she's going to go up to 62 or so points per game. And if we look at this, we can almost take this 58% TOG out of there as well, because she looks to have been a little bit potentially injured in that game as well. And yeah, we look at her run here, and you can basically see that if we take that 39 out, it gets a little bit better for her, potentially averaging something. If we go 58.2 times 11, that's 640 points. If we take away, what was it, the 39 points, you get 601, divide that by 10. She's already up to a 60.1 without even regulating her free kick against, which if she does, that's potentially somewhere around that 63, 64. And we get her priced at 58, as we said. And I just think there's also general upside as well, because I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, out of the Dogs midfield, there's a lot of injuries. The next one is just taking the flyer. And these are with the forward line, I should say. There's quite a lot of just, I'm going to take a flyer on this person and just hope they have 10 points of upside, 15, 20 points of upside. If Monham hits her straps, she will go ballistic. I feel like we showed her on the Wednesday night live stream and stuff, so I won't go into much detail. And then the other one is Window. If we know that Port Adelaide aren't going to take much of a kick mark approach, then Window should be able to do well. If we look at Window as well, it felt like she didn't have the best TOG last year, which is something you can definitely improve on in the offseason. 71% TOG. Definitely something she can improve on. And you can see here in the back half of the year when she has over 50% TOG. I mean, there's games where she does really well, games where she does really poorly, but you have this game here and this game here where you remove them both, 97. That basically puts her around the same marker. And then this other 37 here. So if we remove 108, 114, 136 points from her scoring across 3 games, you get 14 times 52.8. And then we said, what was it? 97 104, 134. So 739 minus 134, divide that by 11. You get her already up at 55 points per game by just improving her her basic midfield time. And you can also say this as well. So it's probably about 56, 57 if she actually has above that sort of 30% midfield time. And when she has above 50%, you get a 43, you get also a 65, you get a 47, a 48, and then another 47 alongside this 73 that she had in finals. And yeah, so I have a feeling with her, it's just about being able to get the footy a little bit more. And with a better TOG as well, I think that's going to really help her out, because if she can get 10% more TOG alongside a little bit more CBAs, I can see that natural leap there. And it also looks like there's potentially more avenue for her to go into that midfield, which should really help out her scoring. And that's why I'm taking a flyer on her. And then probably the most common forward I would hazard a guess is Bonnie Toogood. Yep, 48%. Most people are owning her just because she's value. She 38 points per game. You just cannot see her not going above that. And then currently I do have Vesio in this spot because it looks like she's potentially going to halfback. And that's where I can interchange with Butler and stuff like that and really just gain some value, whilst I want to potentially shift away from the likes of I don't really want Cox at the moment, even though she's done really well. I may get her late on in the year if she, late on in preseason if she still continues to impress. But she still is, if we look at it quietly here. I can't really even see her on any of this. So yeah, she's at 4.7% owned, so she's down there a little bit. So we'll wait and watch on that one. And then Harris there. So I do have quite a lot of value on my bench with over, what's that, 169k, 116, so that's 285k, 389k, 390, 410k spare above minimum on my bench. So that just shows I do have a little bit of cash there, and then 135k in the bank. But it's to allow for flexibility. I'd rather burn 10 points per game early, being able to flexibly move around and do all the maneuvers that I want to get to the better scoring, better role players, because I don't want to be trapped this year. But anyway, that is the video there for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that rundown of my current AFLW fantasy team update video 2.0, and I will see you guys back. I guess it will be for you guys for the ruck line in the AFLW on the Saturday, and then you'll see on the Sunday my fantasy team review for round 21. But I'll see you guys later. Bye guys.